So the problem is that all these problems, whatever, whether it's a dermatological problem or a joint problem, we have departmentalized it. The real cause is internal. It is cellular. It's not about just suppressing the symptoms of the skin. We have to deal with the root cause at the cellular level so that the cells function well, and the cells include immunity, immune cells.
Welcome everyone. Today we have with us Dr. Renu Mahtani. She's a practicing physician for the past 30 years as well as a practitioner of yoga. So we'll be exploring both sides, the scientific side as well as the yogic side. She's the founder of the Autoimmunity Treatment Center in Pune. She's a consultant rheumatologist with extensive experience in the modern treatment of arthritis. We will talk about why Dr. Renu calls the victims of vitamin D pandemic a very big thing, why we should take nutraceuticals, and the power of pranayama. She is also the author of the books Power of Pranayama and Power of Posture. So, Doctor, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Harish.
So, Doctor, let's start with your journey first. You've been working since the past 30 years as a practicing physician, as well as you have worked for 6 years at the Ruby Hall Clinic, and then you ventured into yoga. So first, how did all this happen?
Oh, well, it's always, when you look back, it's a very pleasant journey. It started with Ruby Hall, and I'm very grateful to that place because what I learned over there was amazing and developed some good contacts with some of the best doctors. But at the same time, I realized that being in intensive care medicine whole life was not my cup of tea, because I was looking for something deeper since I myself developed psoriasis at that time. And this is supposed to be a stubborn, incurable autoimmune skin disorder. So I was looking now for the cause of the problem, solutions of the problem, rather than just accepting that once a psoriatic, always a psoriatic. And that's how the journey actually began. And it started with learning of some breathing techniques to promote better health, which now are popularly called as pranayama. So I learned them and I realized that there was something in it, And that's how my so-called yoga journey began. I started exploring the possibilities of knowing more. And I ventured out to do training programs with various institutions in India and even abroad. Basically, the purpose was to understand healing and health at the deepest level. And two, I realized that all yoga are same. It's one platform where all yogic disciplines should meet. So that's how the yoga journey began. And I started practicing the breathing exercises. And it was not that the full stop. I also started understanding my mindset. I became a more avid introspector, and I got to realize my own issues with people, relationships, life, and how to sort of resolve them and move ahead so that there is no emotional residue in the body. And I think that worked. And my psoriasis actually went away. And that's how the yoga journey began. And Param Yoga came into being. Started an organization where we started giving real good quality yoga, not only to the members based upon what their requirement is, but also good training programs. So I can vouch that we give some of the best training programs and make good quality yoga teachers, which is the need of the time. And that's how the journey began. And now Param Yoga is in itself an institute, and with a big group of teachers and students from different countries, different cities. So this is how it changed. And anyways, I was into my medical practice as a private practitioner. And then after about, you can say, 15 years of this journey, my problem again came. The psoriasis came to me again, second time. And now I realize that, I am leading a much better lifestyle and I have all these tools, or let us say all these practices which I'm implementing, and I'm a happy person. I know how to, move ahead in a neutral way and happy way and do my best. And why did I get this? So that took me into the second part of my journey where I decided to study more. and I did a fellowship in nutrition and metabolic medicine from the United States. I came in touch with Dr. Coimbra from Brazil, and I went to South America to learn the value of vitamin D. And that's how it came into my life, because vitamin D is something we are groomed to ignore. We take it for granted. We get it, right? But, and I realized that it's not just about practicing yoga, pranayama, or whatever. They are important. They are like softwares. But our body is our hardware. So if my hardware is deficient and it needs some basic nutrients, the cells need some basic nutrients for proper functioning, and they're deprived of it, then all these softwares of yoga, pranayam, they are not that effective. So it's important to correct both the hardware and the software implementation, and then the results are better. So that's how my second episode of psoriasis, also by divine grace, is not there. And my own problem has been a milestone for me to show me the path, and that's what I'm now practicing and trying to share. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, that's pretty great to hear. To actually hear someone who's having a skin problem and being able to solve it. I personally have some skin issues and have been failed to solve them. Specifically, going to multiple doctors, but I don't know what is the reason with skin that it keeps coming back. Means you mentioned that you had the skin problem first, and it did get solved, and it after 15 years it came back. So what was the reason? Do you only connect it with vitamin D?
It's not just vitamin D. Vitamin D is a very important nutrient, and we have been groomed to think that it is only for bone health, right? X little amount of vitamin D needed to prevent rickets, full stop. But now it's known that vitamin D works on every cell of the body. And the nucleus of every cell has a receptor for it. It's a genetic modulator. In fact, in today's time, in this COVID time, one of the missing ingredients to protection is adequate vitamin D inside the body. So we are using physical barriers, masks, social distancing, which is perfect. But we need to also create a physiological barrier inside us. Something like, you want to strengthen your fort so that if anybody is targeting you, you know how to deal with that. Okay, so this was one thing, not just deficiency, but people who have autoimmune disorders, whether it is psoriasis, whether it is rheumatoid arthritis, whether it is multiple sclerosis, lupus, and the list is unending, The problem is vitamin D receptor resistance, technically. Yeah, means people who have these issues, they need more vitamin D than the general population. So it's actually a medical treatment. It's not just taking any Tom, Dick, and Harry supplement from the market and saying, I'm treating my psoriasis. No, it has to be monitored with certain blood tests. It has to be understood, and then the things start changing, because vitamin D is an immunomodulator. We are not aware of it in general, right? It's not just for bone health, calcium absorption. No. It is a very intelligent molecule. It knows which part of the immune system needs to be suppressed and which part of the immune system needs to be, sort of boosted up. It's not a total immunosuppressant like, steroids, for example. You need them sometimes, but they can't be the permanent answer. So the problem is that all these problems, whatever, whether it's a dermatological problem or a joint problem, we have departmentalized it. The real cause is internal. It is cellular. It's not about just suppressing the symptoms of the skin. We have to deal with the root cause at the cellular level so that the cells function well, and the cells include immunity, immune cells. So once you start giving vitamin D properly, along with magnesium, selenium, these are all nutrients you need, which you are not getting adequately from food, mind you. Okay? And then the cells have the intelligence. They start working well, the immunity gets calmed down, because what's happening in autoimmune diseases? My own immune system is attacking me. I'm my own target. So that immune system has to be said, okay, beta, calm down, right? Don't harm your own self. At the same time, we don't want the good part of immunity to be suppressed. Okay, so this is what vitamin does. It's proven. And the mechanics is, if you want to know, it's called as a Th17 cell mechanism, which the vitamin D suppresses. And that's the monkey behind autoimmune diseases. But it doesn't suppress a good part, what you call them, the T regulatory cells. So it creates the right balance and brings a root cause treatment approach of treating the autoimmune disorders. So that is what is lacking. Immune system is a department which honestly, when we were also students and even now as doctors, internally we shun, oh man, it's so difficult to understand. Because it is not compartmentalized to any one organ of the body. Hey, it's present everywhere in your body. Immune cells are present everywhere. Where they will manifest? For example, a person who may be a psoriatic, after a while can develop rheumatoid arthritis, can develop lupus. Now, departments change, but the root cause is the same, right? So the approach has to be deeper, cellular, molecular to deal with these problems rather than only localized to where the problem is manifesting.
And have you also seen any cases where patients have got psoriasis and also later got arthritis?
Yes, of many, many, and we have some very good results. The best part is that this treatment is so gratifying. The success rate is really good. Nothing is 100%, but it's good, worth a try, safe, scientific, and I call it natural because vitamin D is not a medicine. It's a chemical gift of sun to humanity. You know, life is not possible without the sun, and good health is really not possible without good amount of vitamin D, and we should not be scared of it. Vitamin D is not toxic. We are very worried about toxicity. We take medicines, we don't talk of their toxicity. But vitamin D, toxicity. Fact is, it's high calcium that is toxic and not vitamin D. So when we are treating people with vitamin D, we monitor the calcium with special tests and we don't allow the calcium to go above the normal limit. And it's absolutely safe. So it's worth a try.
So, speaking about the sun, can vitamin D be generated alone from sun?
Of course. See, vitamin D, number one, is never coming ready-made to you from the sun. The rays are ultraviolet B rays. They work on your skin, the fat over there to produce something which gets converted into something else in the liver, in the kidney. And then the final biologically effective vitamin D is available for the cells. Okay. So sun is there, but the issue is in today's time with all the pollution, with all the sun phobias we are not really getting adequate exposure to healthy sunlight. Our ancestors used to be in sun working throughout the day. They were sweating in the sun throughout the day, and they would get 90% of their vitamin D requirement only with their so-called external outdoor lifestyles. 10% they would get from few food sources. Okay. Now the paradox is in today's time, we are scared of sun, right? And we are scared of the ultraviolet A rays. There are two types of rays, good and bad. So the exposure to the bad rays has increased because of the, ozone issues, the holes in the ozone layer, and then the pollution. So we are getting more of the bad rays. That is one thing. And two, we are not exposing to sun at the right time also. We think a morning walk at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock is enough for me. No. The right time to get healthy sun exposure is between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with at least 70% of the body exposed without being covered, without using sunscreens for at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day. So the question is, are we ready for it in today's time? Right? Our lifestyles are predominantly indoor. We go out, we cover ourselves. Fine. So that 90% vitamin D, which our ancestors used to get from sunlight, is not there. Come to food, vegetarian food, there is no vitamin D. And even whatever vitamin D is there in the egg yolk and, some of the other non-vegetarian sources is still not enough to meet the requirement. 90% which we were getting from sun, we are not getting, right? So the time has changed. And also, we have seen that people who are outdoor personalities, like sports people, children who are playing outside, in fact, many of the people who are coming from a semi urban setup, even they have vitamin D deficiency because there are other issues in the body, the liver, the kidneys, the skin. They're not able to process it, the gut, right? Then we need magnesium in good quantities to activate vitamin D. And that is another big deficiency, which is global. So we're not having the adequate cofactors to activate vitamin D. So there are many reasons, but the gist of it is vitamin D deficiency is now a pandemic. Yeah,
True,
it is.
true. Yes, I myself have tested myself as well as my family, and I feel very bad to say that I and my entire family are deficient in it. Yes, we are working hard, but these are two good points. You mentioned that getting sun exposure from 10 between 10 to 2 and exposing your body at least 70%. Is that right? And this is you're seeing as per the location where we are living around the equator, right?
Yes.
There might be differences for people, let's say, who are staying in the States or maybe Australia, who are away from the equator. For them, what would be like a good time or the total amount of time to be exposed?
Sorry, the time is the same. Why? It's about the location of sun in relation to where you're standing. Is the sun above your head or are the rays coming obliquely? This is what decides the quality of rays. So the time exposure is actually the same because whether it's Norway or whether it is India, when is the sun above my head? At 12 o'clock for that area. Got it? So it's not about the different time zone. It's about the direction of the rays which you get directly when the sun is above you rather than coming obliquely when in the early morning or in the evening time.
And speaking about, let's say, if someone is getting exposed at the 12 o'clock noon time, is it safe to say that they are getting UVB rays, or at that time also they are heavily exposed to UVA rays?
At that time, the UVB rays are more.
UVB
That's
rays,
another reason.
the good rays.
Yeah, the good rays.
Okay, perfect. So, again, those are very good points for our listeners. Getting exposed between 10 to 2 and exposing your body at least 70%. So, moving on to the next question. Can vitamin D be created within us through natural sources, or do we need supplements for that?
I think the previous answer has given the tip to this question of yours that we need sunlight exposure, the best way of making vitamin D. But in the present lifestyle, we do not think about it. And there are other reasons which are not giving us the same quality of sun rays which our ancestors used to get. Let's also acknowledge that. We are staying in 2021, right? And not, when the environment was better, right? And there were so many other reasons which were giving us healthier rays, food, water, everything. So that is one thing that we are in 2021. Vegetarian food, no vitamin D. And even non-veg food. See, one egg, for example, the egg yolk contains 40 international units of vitamin D. Okay? And if today I want to give myself, I'm not saying this is my requirement. Suppose I want to give myself, say, 4,000 international units, which is actually needed. How many egg yolks will I take? 100? You get
And
that point.
this is per day figure, right? The requirement.
Absolutely. So food alone cannot meet the requirement. So the question is either we really become farmers and we are not scared of the sun, or we take supplements. Let's face the fact, we are staying in 2021. And if we do not supplement vitamin D, we will need medicines later. So there are three choices. Either become a farmer, take supplements, or take medicines later.
True. Yes, that is the current situation in which we are in. Um, Moving on to the next one, what is the role of melanin in vitamin D generation? And for our listeners, can you even explain what melanin is?
Melanin is a pigment in our skin. The skin produces this pigment, which gives us our, let us say, the complexion and the hue that we have. So people who are dark skinned, they have more melanin production and more melanin pigment in their skin. Okay. So it's not about any racial discrimination right now, but we are talking of melanin. So people who are dark skinned or who have more melanin, they produce less vitamin D from the sun.
Oh,
So their vitamin D requirement, if as a supplement, is definitely more than a person with a fairer skin. So
oh.
melanin does play a role. Yeah, and then it's age plays a role also. So there are other factors too. As we advance in age, we need more vitamin D. Melanin, dark skinned people need to supplement more. Yeah.
True, true. You mentioned about magnesium and how deficiency of magnesium affects the vitamin D generation. Do you also consider any other vitamins or minerals which could be responsible for vitamin D inhibition?
Most important is actually magnesium. And that's another thing which, initially we used to get magnesium from the soil. It was there rampantly present in the soil. But now, because of all the technologies and the chemicals and all that we use on the soil, it's not there. I'll give you one example. One of my colleagues, he grew spinach, palak, at home in his soil. And he's a nutritionist by profession. And he checked the magnesium content in the leaves. He found them to be grossly deficient. Now, same soil, he fed it with a magnesium salt called as Epsom salt, right? And he grew the same seeds, the same lot of seeds there, got the spinach, and now it had magnesium. So, what does it mean? Our soil is depleted. Then we have technologies where we are leaching the water also. We want to remove some bad minerals, but in that process, the good ones are also removed with technology.
Mm,
So in olden days, people would get pure spring water to drink. Even the water that was coming from the ground was different than what it is today. But our industrialization, chemicalization has changed Mother Earth, the environment, the water, everything. So we are not getting that magnesium even from the common foods like whole, what do you call them, whole cereals, whole nuts, green leafy vegetables. They are lacking the necessary amount. So magnesium is something worth considering for another supplementation.
mm, mm,
So magnesium is important, and B12, vitamin B12. That's another one which is a very, very common deficiency, not only in vegetarians, but we are seeing it also in people who consume non-vegetarian food because it has got to do with gut health. So gut health is another target when we talk about treating chronic problems, autoimmune disorders. We have to deal with the gut, treat the gut, give the right supplements, and you see the results on health. So I think these all factors play a role. And then there is one more genetic polymorphisms, as they are called, in the VDR or the vitamin D receptors present in the nucleus of every cell of the body. So with all the various, influences of time, society, genetics, that receptor is altered. And that also affects the vitamin D metabolism in individuals. Okay.
I guess then that would be
So
again inhibiting the secretion of vitamin D. Right?
yeah, the processing of vitamin D.
Yeah, it's a very sad truth that our food is being more and more replaced by medicines itself or supplements itself.
Supplements. Let's call them supplements to
Supplements.
avoid medicines. Yeah, yeah. So we
So,
are probably taking many supplements which we get from food, right? For example, calcium. Yeah, you get it from food. What we need today is vitamin D. We don't hesitate in taking calcium. Think about it.
mm,
When it comes to vitamin D, we say we have to take a supplement. Hey,
mm,
calcium, is probably not needed as a tablet so much, so rampantly the way we are taking it. We need vitamin D, and there is enough calcium in food to get absorbed. And that calcium will not go to wrong places in the body, like the heart, the blood vessels, the kidneys. So I think it's a time that we need vitamin D, and we should accept it happily, because I seeing the positive results which I get with vitamin D, right? I have literally developed respect for this molecule. And I feel that it is not a medicine, it's a gift from God's Son to humanity. And we must respect it rather than be scared of it.
Mhm.
No single pharmaceutical agent can do the very many functions that vitamin D does. In a technical talk, I can explain the mechanisms. It works good for your heart. It works good for your brain. In fact, it's an antidote to depression.
Oh,
Okay? How many people are depressed today? They
that's
don't
true.
mind taking antidepressants. But when it comes to vitamin D, hey, I don't want to take tablets. They don't consider antidepressants to be much more actually harmful. And vitamin D is not harmful. So it works on the heart, it works on the brain, right? It works on your blood vessels. It is nephroprotective. It actually protects the kidneys. We are unnecessarily scared that it damages the kidneys. No, it is the calcium that damages the kidneys. So, time to think. Hmm? We should not be scared of it. No single pharmaceutical agent can do all the functions which this one molecule like vitamin D can do. So I feel that now, after so many 30 years, you said, right, 25 years I was in, you can say, conventional medical practice. For the last 5 years, since the time I've started treating people not only in India but other countries using vitamin D, I feel now I'm practicing real medicine. It is so gratifying because it's about root cause correction. And then there are so many perks, so many additional benefits the people get with this therapy: quality of sleep, constipation, muscle cramps, headaches, migraines, depression. Hey, they all just without taking medications, you know.
Oh, uh,
Gut, you talk about gut, sorry, gut. Our gut, which is so important for health, we all know 70% of the immune cells of the body are present in the gut. And when the immunity has gone for a toss or we have an autoimmune condition, the gut is suffering. What happens? It's called as a hyperpermeability of the gut. Some people call it leaky gut syndrome, means the gaps between the cells of the intestines, in a very crude way, have become bigger so
mhm.
that the wrong things are getting absorbed. So vitamin D helps to tighten the tight junctions here. Do you know that? We never thought about it. So you need vitamin D even for healthy functioning of the gut, right? So I'm all, what should I say? Mechanisms are there to explain how it works now. So the levels of vitamin D matter. The levels which are commonly, taken that, okay, my vitamin D level is 30, fine, good. But the range of healthy vitamin D is 30 to 100 nanograms in blood. So if I'm happy with 30, I'm not giving the benefits to my heart, to my immune system, to my brain. For that, my blood levels have to be between 50 to 60 at least. Our ancestors had blood level of 70 to 80 nanogram per ml. The anti-cancer vitamin D blood level to prevent cancer is above 60. So why are we scared of it? The range of safety given by the Endocrine Society is 30 to 100. So in today's time, in COVID time too, our vitamin D level should be taken up to cross 50. And we are better protected from COVID disease, the bad manifestations of the problem. Okay?
True, true. Uh, yes, this would be a very good point that people, I guess most of the people I have met have been deficient, like under 30. But again, then the point comes in is that, let's say, if we are exposed to the sun, then there are chances of you getting skin cancer. And then there are these many companies who are working in the sunscreen industry. They recommend sunscreens, let's say with SPF 30, and their selling point is that it would protect you from skin cancer or let's say skin burn. So what are your thoughts on the sunscreen industry?
Let me be very honest. When I got my second episode of psoriasis, I'm going to give you answer through my own example. Okay. Apart from psoriasis, I developed another skin condition, which is autoimmune. My entire facial skin, my neck was dark, really dark. If you see my photos, you won't recognize me that time. Okay. And people would ask me, how come you got it? You teach yoga, you practice pranayama, you are talking about all these good things. What has happened to you? So, well, I was obviously thinking it's a sunburn, and then I consulted many specialists, and obviously sunscreens were recommended, and I was using the best of sunscreens almost every 2 to 3 hours in a day.
Wow.
And all the local care that I was advised. It was not really working, by the way. When I got to understand the deeper mechanics, and I started consuming vitamin D in good doses. I use the word good doses, not the regular ones. Within few months, 7, 8 months, not only did my psoriasis come in check, my skin started changing the color. Okay. So it took me time, but I can say now that my skin tone has come back 85%. 15% still there. That tendency of 85% have recovered. And now I do not wear any sunscreen for the last 2 years. And what I have understood, and I have read also in various papers, that if the internal blood levels of vitamin D are good, sun cannot burn my skin. Yeah. So we have to internally strengthen our mechanisms with vitamin D. Today, my blood levels are high. They are nearing 100. And I'm very proud of it.
You're
It's
saying
fine.
your vitamin D is around 100?
Yes.
Wow.
And I do not take calcium supplements. I'm a postmenopausal woman. I used to get cramps when I was on calcium. Rather, I'm off calcium. I take magnesium. Okay. Magnesium, vitamin D. Because my diet has enough calcium, which is now getting well absorbed because of the vitamin D intake. So I check my blood calcium levels. It's called ionized calcium. And I do not allow it to cross the upper limit. I'm fine. You understand? No sunscreens. No sunscreen. Not at all. So we have to basically strengthen our fort. Industries are there, like there are so many other industries, right? Due regards to all of them.
True. Speaking about vitamin D, now we have digressed a bit towards one of your books, and that was one book which was very much focused on pranayama. So there are many yogis who recommend pranayama. In your case, given the MD background, what biofeedback have you received given if one follows a rigorous 30 minutes practice a day?
All right. So now, number word rigorous. That should be deleted when you're talking of pranayama. See, pranayama is not a mechanical routine. It will not be done as a mechanical routine because it is good. Okay. It has to be done to also get the experience of the practice, which people are missing. So if today I'm doing any pranayama, say for example, let me give you the example of the commonest one. People do Kapalbhati first, okay? Where they exhale actively, inhale passively. They make a lot of sounds, a lot of noises. The whole house knows that XYZ is doing pranayama now. So this is deteriorating the quality of pranayama. Pranayama is best when it is noiseless, soundless. It should be internal sound, not sounds coming from the nose. Okay, keep that aside. They do it like a marathon. Oh, I do 2,000 strokes every day. I do Kapalbhati 15 minutes every day, right? But there's an experiential part of Kapalbhati, and it's called as Keval Kumbhak. Most of the people are not aware, and this is not created by me. Our ancient scientists, the yogis, have mentioned about it. So if your Kapalbhati is done properly, correctly, and you stop after say 100 strokes of it, your breathing should stop spontaneously. There is no desire to breathe. Then slowly the breath comes back on its own. So there is a spontaneous cessation of breathing called as Keval Kumbha. And when somebody is experiencing that pause in breaths, the mind shuts down all thinking. It's a meditative state of mind. And that's the experiential part of Kapalbhati. So how many of us are really doing it is a question. So pranayam is very effective. I'm all like vitamin D is my one passion. Pranayam is another one, but not a mechanically done routine. It has to be done mindfully. Every practice has to be accompanied by experiencing how you feel with that, because pranayam is actually a preparation to meditate.
True.
So what does it mean? It needs mindfulness.
True.
Mechanical practice will never be mindful, never be mindful. So pranayam is amazing. The results are amazing if somebody does it mindfully. Of course, with the body corrections being done with the deficiency, right?
True.
And one more thing I would like to highlight at this stage. There are so many people who do the best of routines in life. Exercise, diet, pranayam, meditation. But yet they do not experience the desired results which they were expecting on their health, on their happiness, well-being, whatever you want to call it. The question is why? It's about now their attitude in life, right? So how we take the things in life, how we take people, how we take our interactions with the world, our relationships, how much can we forgive? How much can we let go? How much can we accept? How much are we giving back? You know, these are all qualities that retain the prana in the body. Prana means a life energy which you're getting from pranayama. But if it's a negative, anger, greed, desires, dissatisfaction, negativity, tendency to take, you know, all these things you can call it, they leak the prana from the body. So pranayam is not a full stop. It should lead to mindfulness, an attitude of introspection, an attitude of self-analysis, to develop mental housekeeping. You know, the way we clean our house, we also need to do housekeeping of our own thoughts, our emotions, and, you know, evolve accordingly. Then the pranayam works. And in fact, this book which you mentioned of mine, it does have chapters on this. It's not just on techniques. It's about the scientific understanding of mindfulness and how to do this attitudinal work of mental housekeeping. And that completes and gives more benefits. And it's amazing. Sure.
True. Definitely. We will link the book in the show notes, and that is a definite must read for everyone. As well as you mentioned about Keval Kumbhaka. So, just for our listeners, Kumbhaka is the period when we are holding our breath. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
state?
the time when I would use the word, you're not breathing.
Mm,
Holding the breath means you're trying to impose it.
right.
What I'm trying to focus is Keval Kumbhak, not Kumbhak, Keval Kumbhak.
Oh,
Or the breaths don't come on their own. It's spontaneous. You're
unconscious.
not doing, yeah, that is Keval Kumbhak. And it comes after a short run of Kapalbhati. Try that.
Yes.
Just 250 strokes when you're practicing. But the Kapalbhati has to be done correctly. Means every active exhalation should be followed by a passive inhalation. There
Mm,
are people who are only exhaling, boom, 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 fast,
right.
very fast. They will not experience it. Because when they will stop the Kapalbhati, they will have air hunger. You know, they will feel that, oh, I need more air. That means their Kapalbhati is either too fast, shallow, and every exhalation is not being followed by passive inhalation. So they need to probably reduce the speed a bit and do it with a mental ease rather than counting how many I'm doing.
Right. Means, yeah, it's you gave a very good example of people consider pranayam to completing a marathon. It's like every kilometer you have to complete. Whereas I personally myself have been practicing a lot, and there are days when I have experienced the cable kumbhak. Whereas there have been also some days where I have not experienced, and again that is dependent on what is going on in my mind.
Absolutely.
So if it's like just like a set to be done, it becomes an activity, and then there is just the conscious effort of I have to do it quickly and get it done with it, and that's the wrong way of doing it. That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then there are also many other people who would either make faces while they are doing, or they make jerks with their neck, and that affects their breathing pattern itself.
Absolutely.
True, true. So now, Dr. Renu, coming to you, how do you prime yourself for the day?
Oh, right. You know what? Number one, I'm a happy imperfectionist. That I do my best, whatever. But I do not keep perfect targets for everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so my day starts early, but I don't get up with an alarm like I used to do before. I get up on its own. When you sleep on time, you get up on time. So I get up early, but not very early. I need my sleep because that's important for my health and the energy I need throughout the day for working. So I get up, and after the daily chores, yes, I do my physical exercise, and I begin with the kriyas, Kapalbhati, Agnisar Kriya. These are the ways to use breath as a tool to remove the toxic air and, sort of even cleanse your blood at a scientific level. So I start with Kriyas, and then I get into the physical exercises. So alternate days, I perform yoga, and alternate days, I go for either a brisk walk or cycling. So alternate days, it is cycling, alternate days, it is yoga. And now I have reached a stage where simple yoga fascinates me more than targeting complicated postures,
Hmm.
right? And I prefer doing it on my own rather than attending a class, because when I do it on my own, I'm more mindful and I get my own experiences of an asana also. So it's basic stretching, easing out. But at the same time, I'm a very strong believer that even though you are stretching your muscles, your core should not be relaxing. So I do a lot of practices to engage the core first, have those techniques intact, like my book, Power of Posture, talks about it. You need to engage your core in today's time, 2021, and then manifest the stretching part of your asanas. So I believe in Rishi Patanjali's Yoga Sukta, Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Sthirta, stability is strength, core strength. On that foundation only you can get the sukha of stretching and flexibility. Unfortunately, people equate yoga with only and only flexibility or stretching of muscles. But it has to be based on a foundation of sthirta, stability, which comes with core involvement. So all my practices involve first core engagement, then the stretching part, and breathing. Without breathing, even asanas are probably just a physical practice. So breath is the soul of asanas too. So mindful breathing, that's how I do. And I just love that yoga. And after finishing my practice of asanas, which has no fixed pattern every day, there are days where I enjoy twisting asanas more. There are days where I love to do more of standing postures. There are days where I like to do sarvangasana. And it's not a must that I have to do everything every day and then only I'm a perfect. No. So whatever I do, I believe in enjoying it, feeling it. And then this is followed with simple pranayam practices of Anulom Vilom, Ujjayi, chanting. Chanting is a very powerful tool to do. Simple chanting techniques. There are many techniques. No complications needed, and you can just experience it inside. And that's how my morning routine is set. Pranayam I try to do every day, even on the days where I go for my cycling. Okay, then my day begins, the work begins. And once it starts, it ends in the late evening hours. And then it's time to read, retire, So that's how I begin my day.
Yeah. I have a similar feeling whenever I do my yoga practice. So performing different sets of asanas, for me, it's more like I want to derive a value from it. So let's say if I want more stability today, I'll do more asanas with stability. If I want more strength, I'll do more asanas with strength. And that's the beauty of yoga.
Awesome. It's awesome. It's a treasure house of techniques and unending. You can just pull
Yeah.
out if
Yeah.
you need for the time. Totally agree with you.
True. So let's say if you have any busy days where you have very limited time to give to yourself, do you fit in any small kriya which could be just of, let's say, 10 minutes?
Yeah, very simple. I definitely will do little Kapalbhati because I told you it's for me, it's cleansing. See, if today I want to get something good inside me, I have to remove the,
Bad.
let us say the unwanted. Yeah. So definitely a Kriya Kapalbhati, and I do my Agnisar, just 3 rounds, maybe standing in the kitchen while the tea is being made. So handy, quickly can be done. And then simple stretching like, Tadasana, side bending, Diryak Tadasana to basically lengthen my spine, right? And then I do just 1 or 2 steps where I combine movement with breathing, right? For example, lifting the arms up with inhalation and I inhale till the arms have gone up. So I stretch my breath as I stretch the body. Just few of them, and then I do some sun salutations. Because sun salutations done properly, mindfully, with breath awareness, it's a complete exercise. Yeah. Even if you give those 10 minutes, it's done, full for the day. And then just do some chanting. Chanting means a Brahmari humming, just 6-7 times, and I'm done for the day. So this would be my short program of, let us say, 10 to 15 minutes.
True. I can never be more thankful enough to sun salutations. That is like one of the biggest gifts which I've got, and I make sure to, even if it's a bad day for me, I make sure to at least do a few rounds of sun salutations.
Absolutely. It's found that it works on almost 95% muscles of the body, which no singular exercise can do. So even if we think only from the physical perspective, you are working on many muscles, your alternate stretching, contracting them. The flow of Surya Namaskar is so beautiful. And then when you do it with proper breathing, it is a breathing movement meditation.
True, true. So now moving on to food, do you have any food choices which you strictly avoid?
Well, not really. I believe in moderation, and I think that is the principle of a yogic lifestyle too. Yukta ahar, yukta vihar, yukta vichar, samatvam as they call it, a state of balance. And in medicine also we read about it. And a state of equilibrium, a state of homeostasis. So I personally feel that in diet also, even if it's the best and it's done to the extremes, it is not sustainable in the long run for health and happiness. So one can adopt a particular diet, let us say. I'm not taking any names right now, any diet for that matter. You can do it for a few months to sort of reset your system. But health is when you come back to moderation. Taking things in moderation of everything, right? And it's not about being only vegetarian, non-vegetarian. I think it is very individual. Finally, it's about the attitude of mind. See, vegetarianism should also make me vegetarian by mindset, my attitude. Do I hurt people? Am I quick in annoying people, hurting myself? I think that is being more non-vegetarian, whether one eats something or not eat something. So that's very individual. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. When it comes to food, it has to be seen at an individual level. Then we have our own constituent, what do you call them, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So something may be good for me. I cannot say that X diet program, because it worked for me, it will work for all. My own body constitution is different. My own blood group is different. My mindset is different. My lifestyle is different. So it has to be individualized. based on all these factors. And the key to health is moderation. Of course, if there are some people who have some allergies or some hypersensitivities to certain foods, they need to avoid that, and not just avoid, like there are people who just go gluten-free, who just go free of something, XYZ. Okay, maybe initially for your health, but the target should be to make the gut so strong that tomorrow when you take gluten, nothing wrong happens. That should be the aim, rather than only avoiding.
True, true. People tend to be direct food fanatics, and
Absolutely.
they would completely leave something out. And yeah, that's a very big problem.
When they go into that fanatism of one of the best names in diet, they land up in problems. Because, for example, since I'm dealing with autoimmune disorders, I have cases, young people who went on extremes, and they said, oh, how did I develop this disease? I never had it before. Because they have gone to that extreme that even the stress levels go so high in the body to maintain that lifestyle, right? Cortisol, that's a stress hormone that goes up. So externally, they are fine. I'm taking this, I'm taking that, right? See, my body weight has come down and XYZ. But they have a lot of internal struggle to cope up with that. And that struggle, stress, works on the immunity, works on the immune system. And many people don't acknowledge that they're having that internal tussle, right? So I always say, eat for the body, eat for the mind, and even for your soul, right? It should give you happiness also. But yeah, it should not make you indulge in the wrong direction. So it's all about striking the right balance of everything. In fact, I have seen, it will be shocking to know that many people, since I deal with autoimmune disorders, many of these whole dals, the ones which have covers like rajma, lobia, black udad, they are very difficult to digest when the gut is gone for a toss, and when, what should I say, the immunity has gone for a toss. So one has to go for simpler foods rather than saying that, no, since dals are the best, whole dal, I'm going to take everything whole. And they land up into problems. So again, doesn't mean that you stop taking it. Sorry, I didn't mean that. So it has to be seen individually.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, not to be a fanatic in any specific route. And again, the key is moderation. True. So, Doctor, we've just come to the end of the show. What message would you like to share with everyone?
Message. Just number one, follow something which you can happily stick on to. Make a routine that gives you happiness, then it works. And the principle of moderation. Any extreme is, whether it's too much of anything, will lead you to bad health. Health is samatvam. Even Bhagavad Gita says, samatvam yoga uchyate. And at the same time, be open-minded. Let's not be like in yoga. You have to remain grounded, right? So we should not forget remaining grounded in the right knowledge. And based on that, we explore, expand our understanding of things and move ahead in life. I think that is the message. And we have to understand things more from a deeper level rather than only by the looks and the superficial aspect of things.
True. Dr. Renu, very much thanks for you coming us and sharing all this knowledge with us. Where can everyone find you on the internet?
Firstly, let me thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And it's the passion to spread good things. My website is there, renumahtani.com. Plus, I have lots of videos posted on my YouTube channel as well. So if you want, I can, I don't know how you...
Definitely. We will link the website, the YouTube channel, as well as the book links in the show notes. And that should help all our listeners. Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge.